Jim Donovan along with James Lofton back in Baltimore as we start the fourth quarter. 14-12. The Ravens leading by 2 over Tennessee. Jeff Fisher has been on that sideline arguing with the referee Bob McElwee since the last play caught by Jermaine Lewis.
Well, Jermaine Lewis comes into the game late. They have their regular 11 on the football field with 2 tight ends. So the Oilers have a defense for that. Well, at the tail end of the 42nd clock, Jermaine Lewis sprints on, tight end sprints off, and now they have a mismatch because of personnel in the ball game.
And the pass was good for a first down. They're inside the 30 of Tennessee. They give it to Van Morris on first down, and Joe Bowden hits him at the 25-yard line. Second down and 7. Morris seems to really thrive on the contact. Every time he gets up off the pile, he gets up smiling.
Now here's the prior play. You see Lewis coming in, and you see guys waving out. You know, we got the guy out there that we need to cover, but we don't have the right guys to cover him.
Second and 7. Ball just inside the 25. As Zaire throws, Eric Green has it. Marcus Robertson can't bring him down. Inside the 10, it's first and goal. 16 yards.
I mentioned it before. You know, you're driving that little tiny car. What is it called? A spec? And it's snowing all over the place. The windshield wipers are going. It's fogged up. And then there's that big giant moose in the middle of the road. Eric Green, you know, he came into this league and set the league on fire when he was at Pittsburgh. And he is back at the top of the cream of crop of tight ends now.
First and goal at the 8-yard line. On first down, Van Morris is wrapped up by Henry Ford. The right defensive tackle got him right by the ankle and brought him down.
It's hard to run the football when you get quick penetration, and that's really the Oilers game. You know, you have all the big guys for the Ravens, 320 pounds per man. You have Quentin Newyer, who's moved in at center. You have Wally Williams, who moved from center to guard. But they're the big physical pounders. Oilers are the quick guys.
Second and goal, now back at the 10-yard line. Zaire into the end zone for Alexander on the back corner. He couldn't get it. Third and goal. He laid that ball right out there.
Yeah, but he laid that ball out there too far. You know, Derek Alexander had to go around one guy, beat another guy. You know, at least it wasn't intercepted. I mean, Eric Zaire, he wants a touchdown. And the sun is far enough. We're only at the back part of that end zone. Would it be a factor?
Now it's third down and goal from the 10. Zaire will go to the other corner for Michael Jackson, but that's incomplete. So it's fourth down. George McCullough was on the corner coverage there on Jackson, and they will call him Matt Stover for a field goal.
And I think Eric Zaire got fooled by the coverage both times. As you saw, each time he tried to run what is called that fade route, a quick go by the wide receiver. There's a second guy back deep, and that time McCullough just took off and sprinted for the corner of the end zone before the ball was even thrown.
Stover today, 0 for 1, blocked from 50 yards away. This is 27 yards.
And I think Stover, who started the season at, you know, #1 all-time, is now #2 all-time behind Chris Bonio. And he knew that when Bonio went from Dallas to Philadelphia, he'd have trouble kicking there. And Bonio hasn't had a great year, but he's still a couple of percentage points ahead of Stover.
So this is trying to give the Ravens a 5-point lead. And the kick got blocked again. Second of the ball game. Jeff Fisher's pumped on the sidelines. The Oilers blocked the second field goal attempt of the day. They got one from 50, and now this one from 27.
And we're talking once again, quick guys beating big guys and blocking the kick.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Ericsson. Be ready for anything with an Ericsson cellular phone. And by Visa, the official card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be.
You know, Gary Walker beats Ben Cavell right there, the inside gap in between the right guard and the center, and it's a quick spin move. Cavell turns his body in the hole instead of staying square.
First down from the 20-yard line. Derek Mason catches for short yardage out near the 23, but what a big swing in this game now, as Tennessee has come up with 2 blocked field goals, and now still only down by a couple of points instead of 5.
Yeah, you take those 2 blocked field goals, 3 and 3 is 6. You take the fumble that Michael Jackson has on the 1-yard line going in, another 6 points.
Yeah, another
that's
6.
12. Another point that he may have kicked, that's 13 points. They could have blown Oilers out. The Oilers are hanging around this ball game, and that could be trouble for the Ravens.
2nd and 7. McNair with all kinds of time, looking for Wycheck. It's incomplete. Staten trying to pick it off in the deep secondary at the 45.
Yeah, and nice underneath coverage by Ray Lewis. We hear about Ray Lewis a lot as a run stopper, a guy who has, you know, closing in on 200 tackles. But this time, what he does is he keeps his body in between Frank Wycheck and the quarterback and doesn't give Steve McNair the lane to drop the ball in.
3rd down and 7. McNair, Wycheck dropped it. He would have had the first down at the 32-yard line. McNair put it right on his hands.
Yeah, he would have had the first down and a lot more yardage after that. And, you know, you watch Frank Wycheck play. You know, he played his collegiate football at Maryland. So, you know, he's had some tickets to pass out for this ball game. So his friends came to watch him play. And that ball just goes straight through his hands.
Which brings up 4th down. Reggie Roby to punt. Only his 2nd of the day now, and Jermaine Lewis is back deep.
You know, Reggie's real close to his Santa size. He's putting on some pounds.
Flag is down as Roby punts. Lewis drifting back over the shoulder at the 20, all the way back to the 15. And out to the 24-yard line where the Oilers bring him down. A 57-yard punt, a 4-yard return, but a flag coming. It's motion against the Oilers.
Illegal motion, number 30, on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
That's going to be on Dorsett.
Yeah, and he just starts creeping toward the line of scrimmage a little bit. But after that, I mean, he really outruns the 2 guys who are assigned to block him.
Now remember last night, Jeff Fisher told us that to battle his guys getting blocked going downfield on those punts, they were going to put some motion in to try and get them away from those 2 defenders. And that time they did it, but he's flagged for it.
And we also asked him, we said, where do you punt the ball when you're kicking to Jermaine Lewis? He said, we want to keep the ball on the white. And that's the boundary. They want the ball either out of bounds or right on that boundary to pin him next to it.
So Roby will have to do it again. Now standing inside his 5, back at his 3-yard line. .53 left in regulation time. 14-12. The Ravens lead. They'll get much better field position now. He's up to the 40. Up to the 50. Jermaine Lewis, a 56-yard punt, 24-yard return. Ravens by 2 when we come back.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Domino's Pizza, delivering 1 million smiles a day. Call for pizza now and share a smile during the game.
The anatomy of a punt return starts with these 2 guys at the line of scrimmage. Their job is to slow the gunner down. Now, he gets bogged up in traffic, and once they do that, they have accomplished their job. They've given their return man, Jermaine Lewis, a free run to get started on the play. That's all it takes. 2 guys blocking 1.
From the 50-yard line, Cam Morris gets to the 49. And that's it. It's the 4th time this afternoon that the Ravens have had field position at either the 50 or better. Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8.
You know, and Ted Marchibroda, you can see a little bit of the worried look on his face because, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, they've had scoring opportunities, and you don't want to give the road team a chance to hang around in the ball game and knock you out late in the game.
2nd and 8, Zier juggled and incomplete. Eric Green couldn't hang on at the 48-yard line. Lenoy Jones was over on the coverage, and it's 3rd down and 8. Zier looks to the sideline as the next play. Well, you're right, James. Tennessee has just been hanging around in this game. Now within 2.
And you have Derek Alexander lined up on McCullough. McCullough, a guy who wasn't even on the roster before this week.
On 3rd down. He's in trouble in the pocket. There's a flag down. The catch by Jermaine Lewis. He's down inside the 30-yard line. 19 yards if the play holds. But instead, the Ravens held. And that really hurts because that will march them back now. Instead of having the 1st down inside the Tennessee 30-yard line.
But to Zier's credit, you go ahead, you see the flag, you continue, you make the play, because if you don't make the play, it's 4th down. Now at least they have another crack on it, even though it's a 3rd and 18?
No, we didn't get a number on that one.
Yeah. What they're doing is they're trying to protect somebody. And I would think that since we have our cameras on Wally Williams, he was probably the guilty party.
So it is 3rd down and 18. The ball is at the 41-yard line. Zier to Bam Morris, and he can't hang on to it.
And early in the ball game, in the first half, we saw Ernest Biner in at that running back position, and he is actually the more accomplished receiver of the 2. They also have Jay Graham, the rookie that they got from Tennessee, who has been injured. They think that he has a very bright future. Now, to Bam Morris's defense, that ball was tipped, and it's tough to catch a ball when it changes its flight.
Montgomery to punt, standing back at his 27-yard line, and Derek Mason waits for it. It's a short punt. He runs up to it, catches it at the 20, and gets ripped down back beyond the 20. Tennessee ball after a 37-yard punt. They trail by 2. You're watching the NFL on NBC. Back in Baltimore, 10:22 remaining in the final game to be played here at Memorial Stadium. And now let's take a look at the Miller Time game summary. Ravens holding on by 2. McNair has not thrown a touchdown pass. He's run one in. Zier has thrown 2 touchdowns. The unexpected, Houston blocking 2. Matt Stover field goals. Eddie George on 1st down. Boy, he had to run a long way to just get a couple of yards there.
And you mentioned the unexpected with the 2 blocked field goals. You know, if by chance the Oilers go up in this ball game and you have to line up to kick a game-winning field goal, I mean, what type of doubt is in your mind that you can even protect well enough to get the kickoff after you've had 2 blocks in the ball game?
2nd down and 8 for Tennessee. They finish up the regular season next week against Pittsburgh at home. Eddie George with 123 on the day. McNair throwing. Davis is open, but he lunges up in the air and can't come down with it as Ralph Staten comes up from the safety spot to make another play.
Yeah, but what you're seeing from Steve McNair in the Tennessee Oilers offense is the deep pass, and you don't find a lot of teams who will throw this deep corner route, and the ball hangs up in the air a little bit. And Ralph Staten, you know, he's making a statement. Last week, the 2 interceptions. This week, the big hit earlier on Eddie George, and he is going to be a guy when you play against him in years to come where you'll locate where he is in the secondary before you cross the middle.
3rd down and 8. Play clock down to 1, and they just get it off. McNair pulls it down, and then he's going to get hit. The ball pops loose. The Ravens have it at the 15.
venture to say that Keith Washington grew up watching Lawrence Taylor play football on Monday night. And the one thing that Lawrence Taylor did just better than anybody when he was with the Giants, not only sacked the quarterback, but stripped the football. And you see kind of the tomahawk chop there to knock the ball out of McNair's hands. And that's a huge turnover for the Baltimore Ravens.
Washington with the strip, causing the fumble. James Jones with the recovery of the McNair fumble. 4 turnovers now for Tennessee, and Jones is still down on the ground at the 15-yard line where he recovered the ball. 3 of the 4 turnovers have been fumbles for Tennessee. And Jones is getting up. Gets a hug from Bam Morris. NBC tonight.
First, from National Geographic, The Great White Shark. Then, after Dateline at a special time, from the creator of Jurassic Park and The Lost World. The network television premiere, Congo 9, 8 Central.
That's coming up tonight. Zaire to the end zone. Touchdown, Derek Alexander.
Play receiver. The Baltimore Ravens have Michael Jackson, Jermaine Lewis, and maybe their most explosive guy, Derek Alexander. You saw the graphic, 8 touchdowns for the season. You know, you can game plan to stop one guy. Great move to the outside, but how do you stop a 3-headed beast?
James Alexander did a great job dragging those feet, didn't he? On the back edge of that end zone.
And when I was out at practice the other day, Alexander and Michael Jackson have these purple shoes that they wear for practice. Now, they're not allowed to wear them in the game. It'd be a $10,000 fine every game that they played in. But these guys know that they're a special group. They need to get Jermaine Lewis a pair of those purple shoes.
Stover's extra point is good. That stretches out the Ravens lead. 21-12. Baltimore with 9:20 to go. This is the NFL on NBC.
One of the advantages to playing on grass as opposed to playing on AstroTurf, when you drag your feet on grass, actually the grass gives a little. You see the grass being pulled up by his toe drag.
Rodney Thomas from his own 5. And he runs it out over the 30 to the 31-yard line. Jamie Sharper on the tackle for the Ravens. There's Derek Alexander, who catches the touchdown pass. Just worked his way back into the lineup. He was in the doghouse and had been benched. Got back into the lineup in the second quarter of last week's game against Seattle. Made 6 catches. Had a 92-yard pass play in that game. And he catches the touchdown pass here today.
And also, he is a free agent after this season. And he is one of the hot commodities when you look around the league at free agent wide receivers. He has size, speed, strength, and great skill in terms of route running. We saw him bend the corner to the outside on that post pass.
First down, and Tennessee is now down 21-12. They have the ball just at their over their 30 at the 31-yard line with Eddie George in the backfield. And they still try the running game, and George will lose yardage. Deron Jenkins comes up and makes the tackle of Eddie George. Well, now you're down, James, 21-12. Looking for lightning there to have Eddie George break one, but that clock starts to keep running on you too.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, you know, about Eddie George being the jab. Steve McNair having to provide the knockout punch with that overhand right. Well, he's had time to throw the football, but he hasn't been able to come up with the big play offensively.
Second down at 12, a draw play to Eddie George. Over the 35, out to the 37-yard line. Cornell Brown, the linebacker, 51 on the tackle of Eddie George. Still shy of a first down. It's 3rd down and 3. Clock running, 8:12 to go. And they need 2 scores. He goes short for Sanders, and Antonio Langham goes over the back of Sanders and gets all ball and knocks it away, and Tennessee has to give the ball back.
Great timing by Antonio Langham, because what you're taught as a defensive back is you put one hand slightly on the back. You really do put it on the back, and then you come in with the other hand. This time he comes with the left hand. The right hand is just slightly on the back. And what the officials are looking for is if you grab and pull that receiver and twist him. And Langham doesn't pull him. He just lays out and bats the ball away with his left hand.
Jermaine Lewis set to receive the Roby punt. Fair catch. Inside his 15-yard line. After the game here on NBC, it's the final day of the EMC Skills Challenge. That's coming up. John Daly, Peter Jacobson, Chichi Rodriguez, and more show off their shot-making skills in a variety of situations. And that's the EMC Skills Challenge coming up next here on NBC. There is a flag down on the play.
I thought it was E equals MC squared. They got something different in this skills challenge.
Yes.
That doesn't apply to physics. Yeah, because the way that they hit the ball, they don't take the normal rules of physics in.
Oh.
I know the harder I swing, the better the ball.
Well, Jeff Fisher's in a predicament right now. 21-12, down by 9. That's what's left. 7:45. And the flag goes back, marching the Ravens inside their 10.
See, that's just guys planning their offseason. You know, Brady's saying, I'm going on a cruise. The other guy's going, well, I think I'll join you. You know, what cruise line are you going? They're just trying to get a chance to talk. There's no, bad feelings going on the football field. Trust me.
So now Zaire's job is to hold on to the football, use some of his clock, and preserve the 21-12 lead. And Bam Morris will have a big part of that, too, as he runs it out for short yardage. Turnovers and the Ravens' ability to cash in on them.
Yeah, and you might say, well, they were lucky. They picked the ball up when we dropped it. But to be opportunistic, first you have to create the opportunity. So they created turnovers, and then they're able to cash them in. And the two big ones, the one on the punt early in the ball game where they take it in for a touchdown, and then they cause a fumble down there when they strip Steve McNair of the football, and then they take that one in for a touchdown.
Clock running, 7:11 remaining. Tennessee has had trouble holding onto the ball against the Ravens in the two games. They lost to them earlier, 36-10. Bam Morris carries off the left side out to the 10-yard line.
And if you're the Tennessee Oilers here, the first guy in makes the tackle. The second and third guys are trying to strip the ball. I mean, you're trying to pull that arm off his body and get that ball to fly out at this juncture of the game. Because the only way that they can get back in it is with a quick score. And to do that, they can't have to go 65 or 70 yards to get it. They need a turnover down in this portion of the football field.
The Ravens have been terrible on third down today. 3 for 10. They're 3rd and 7 now. 6:24 to go. The pass to Michael Jackson. He's got it. And that's a first down over the 20. 11 yards on the connection there.
It is just a matter of personnel. Steve Jackson, the normal starter, is out of the lineup. So you have McCullough in the lineup, and he has his hands full with Michael Jackson, a guy who has Pro Bowl type ability. And once again, it is the big receiver theory. He actually hits him before the ball gets there, but it's like a little fly, flying into, those big biceps you have. It just bounces right off.
Thanks for noticing. 5:40 to go. And they're going to throw again, and he's going to throw it down into the ground as he rolled around to the right with Anthony Cook chasing him.
Yeah, and I see Bob McElwee looking to see was he out of the framework of the tackles, because, he's checking out, where was that ball thrown? And still that ball is supposed to approach the line of scrimmage or go near. It's supposed to go outside of this. If he gets outside of that, then he can throw the football away. You see him, he's dropping straight back. He's getting close. He's outside that area, and he throws it at the feet of Bam Morris.
Now he stopped the clock on the incompleted pass with 5:38 to go here in the fourth quarter. To Bam Morris. And Bam brings it out to the 24-yard line.
And if I'm Jeff Fisher, I'm either going to use a timeout here. If they run the ball again on third down, that would be my chance to use a timeout and stop this clock. Because, you know, it's one thing to have timeouts, but you don't want to have them while you're walking into the locker room when the game is over. You want to use up all your resources to try and give your team the best chance to win.
Third down and 7. 5 minutes to go right now. Zaire, and they can't hang on. Jermaine Lewis had the middle of the field out over the 35-yard line. It would have been a first down, but Darrell Lewis was defending, and they'll have to give the ball back and punt it away.
And Zaire and Jonathan Ogden at the tail end of the play, you know, were rushing to their local official. They wanted a pass interference call here, but it's just close coverage, and he actually has hold of his left arm. He won't let him get that second hand back to catch the ball.
So Montgomery coming up on punt number 6 on the day. Derek Mason is back deep. Good punt by Montgomery, driving Mason back inside his 25. Gets hit by McLeod, still running, and McLeod comes back and makes the tackle back at the 20-yard line. 54-yard punt. He loses 2 on the return.
You know, and you won't, you know, read it tomorrow in the headlines, but Greg Montgomery and his ability to punt the ball today. Number one, the first punt of the ball game gets mishandled. They recover it, and that one, you nail a big-time punt when you really have to drive the Oilers back in their territory. Not only does he have the distance, but great hang time from Montgomery, and a guy who used to line up and play for the then Houston Oilers.
Montgomery, thumbs up. He got the job done, driving Tennessee back to the 21-yard line. First and 10 with 4:39 left. The Oilers are down 21-12. They have 2 timeouts left. McNair hit the official. He was looking for Rodney Thomas, and he hit the official right over the middle. It is not going well.
No, it is not going well. This will not be a banner day for Steve McNair. You know, he's looking downfield, pressures, nobody there, lane open, and he tries to dump the ball to Rodney Thomas. The official is right there in the way.
Second down and 10. McNair only 1 of his last 9 if you look at his passing numbers on the day. The delay to Rodney Thomas, and Thomas streaks up the field out to the 30-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. Eddie George over on the sideline.
And I think this is not a mistake, but this is what they do in their pass-type 2-minute offense. They bring in Rodney Thomas, a guy who they feel like maybe a little bit of a better receiver than Eddie George. But normally it's because Eddie George has been carrying the ball so much. And they had Ronnie Harmon when this season started. And Ronnie Harmon's in the top 3 or 4 all-time in running back receptions. But Ronnie Harmon's no longer on this team. So those duties of the receiver running back have fallen on the shoulders of Rodney Thomas, and it's left Eddie George on the sideline. If I'm Eddie George, during the offseason, I politely talk to Jeff Fisher and say, I want to play every down.
Having trouble getting the chains stretched out here to see where they are. They get the first down. First and 10 for Tennessee, 4:16 left. Have to wait for the markers to get over there, and also the official has to pick up something that was left by one of the members of the Chang gang. So that's why the delay right now. Here we go. Wind that clock, and it's running. McNair, a lot of time. Sanders open. He's got it at the Baltimore 45-yard line. Kim Herring comes over on the coverage. 25 yards on the pass play.
And if you're looking at the progression of the play, I mean, he looks left for the longest, then down the middle, and he comes back to Chris Sanders almost as an afterthought.
First down, short pass, wide check. Straddling the sidelines, goes out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Tackled by Donnie Brady. 3:29.
If you're the Tennessee Oilers, when you line up as an offensive line, you have to locate Peter Boulware. Guy 11.5 sacks this season. He's the premier pass rusher for them, and right now he's lined up over John Runyon. And what did he tell us about Runyon? Little problem with speed rushing.
Second down, 2. Herring came up on a blitz, shovel pass though. He got it off. Wycheck makes the grab on it, but it's back at the 36-yard line for virtually no gain on the play. And the clock keeps running too. Ray Lewis sniffs out that play. Jeff Fisher saying, hurry up, get him up to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but you have Ravens who are slow getting up off the field, and there's no reason to take this much time on the clock. You know, granted, you want to convert this, but you're also in 2-down territory.
Third down and 2. The ball is at the 36-yard line. McNair 3 for 3 on this drive. Before the drive, he was 1 out of his last 9. Thomas is the motion man. McNair to the middle. Mason had it, couldn't hang on. He dropped it at the 23-yard line. So it's 4th down. They must go with 2:42 left.
You know, there are drops, and then there are drops. And this is a drop. You know, he's right over the middle, takes his eye off the football. And you know, he's not concerned about being hit, because Mason is a tough physical guy. We saw him. He had what you described as a mild concussion, and obviously that's when it's on somebody else's head. But he's back in the ballgame. He has to make that play.
Here it is, 4th down and 2. Down by 9 points. He's going to run it. He's going to get the first down. Down to the 30-yard line. Boy, there was lots of indecision. I mean, he wanted to throw it. He was trying to decide, do I have enough to run it? And he did.
But when I watched that play, I mean, you put a heavy load on Steve McNair's shoulders to pick that up. And if you're going to say, Steve McNair, you're the guy, then you put your best 11 guys on the field. And let's get back to Eddie George standing on the sideline right now. Now, I don't know how accomplished the receiver Rodney Thomas is. He only had 12 receptions coming into the ball game. Eddie George had 7. I mentioned Ronnie Harmon, who's no longer on the team. He was the really expert at this. I put my best 11 on the field, and my best player is Eddie George.
They need 2 scores. They have 1 timeout left, having used a timeout here. Eddie George team all the way now. Not discouraged that he's on the sideline, urging his offensive unit on. But he's back to the sideline, and as James mentioned, Rodney Thomas stays in.
And Eddie George mentioned that after his freshman year, what was he, the 3rd-string tailback, the 4th-string fullback, and he said after that Citrus Bowl, I need to find a way to get on the football field. I think situations like this will make Eddie George say, okay, during the offseason, I run, I lift weights, I do all this stuff to get better. If I become a better pass receiver, there's no way they can take me off the field.
He'll never be off the field again. 2:31 left. On the last game ever here at Memorial Stadium, and the Ravens trying to hang on to make it a winning last game for them. McNair flushed. Thomas catches. Ooh, he got a big hit at the 21-yard line by Ray Lewis.
Yeah, you look up anytime there's a big hit with somebody in purple, I can bet you dollars to donuts. I don't know what that means, dollars to donuts, but Ray Lewis is going to be around the pile.
2nd down and 1. Wycheck right at the 20. John Williams makes the tackle. We have 2 minutes remaining, down to the 2-minute warning. Baltimore by 9 when we come back to Memorial Stadium. Back at Memorial Stadium, here's your situation. Ravens leading 21-12. 2 minutes to go. Timeouts become so crucial now. The Oilers only have 1 left. The Ravens with 2. They don't want to stop the clock at all, though. 1st and 10. The ball is just inside the 20-yard line of Baltimore. 10th play on this drive. They have to get 2 scores. Into the end zone for one of them, for Willie Davis. Too far, incomplete. Stops the clock with 1:55 left.
McNair tries to pump fake to get the defense to bite up. He does get Willie Davis just barely behind the secondary, but not enough room to drop it in for a touchdown.
James, here we are, 19-yard line. If they don't get in and they come up 4th down, do you kick? You need 2 scores. Do you kick a field goal?
And you have to put the points on the scoreboard. Then you try an onside kick and get the ball back.
Davis is in motion. 2nd down and 10. McNair fires. He has his man inside the 10-yard line.
You know, they should already be on the ball. I mean, really running up there to get on. There has to be a certain sense of urgency, and Steve McNair has to get them up on the ball.
Derek Mason on that catch. 1st and goal. He fakes, throwing it into the ground, and then throws it into the bleachers. He actually hits the goalpost.
I like it. Like you get an A for effort, and maybe a C- for execution. And then we saw this play with Dan Marino in the middle.
Right.
You know, he did that, faked it into the ground, then he threw deep. And I don't think Peter Boulware liked the fact that he was faking him out there.
The Marino one went for a touchdown, didn't it, against the Jets? 1:30 left, and only 1 timeout.
This is when you would like to have a big 6'3", 4-inch receiver throw that ball up high and let him go get it.
Into the end zone for a wide check, and it's batted away by Ralph Staten. And now it's 3rd down.
Right at the goal line, and we talked about, you know, you're on the 7-yard line, you only have 17 yards to work with. The ball is thrown right at the goal line. You think that wide check gives you that big physical presence. Well, he's not quick enough to break free of Staten in this limited area.
9 for 17 on the day. On 3rd down are the Oilers with 1:25 left. Showing blitz, here they come. He throws to Sanders with some blocking to the 5. He dives right at the goal line, and they give him the touchdown. One official raised his hands and said touchdown. Now a conference.
Well, at least the clock is stopped, and if you're the Oilers, you call the play in case you don't get in, which they haven't, and you get going. Jeff Fisher is going to call timeout.
So they said touchdown first, and then they had a mini conference and said no touchdown. They want to get the timeout called, and finally do with 1:06 left.
And they lost about 12 seconds on the
really
clock right there.
At that stage, that really hurts you, especially when you don't have any more timeouts after using this one. Did he get in? The ball is right on the goal line right there.
I like the call. It's the old college screen. Try and get a couple of guys out in front of the wide receiver. You know, that ball touches the chalk. And if I'm not mistaken, you touch the chalk, that's a touchdown.
And the official right on that side went up with the arms then, but then they marked the ball right on the half-yard line. And remember now, coming up, it's 4th down.
And very seldom do you see, you know, them put their arms up for a touchdown and then retract it. You know, quite often they're trying to find, you know, is the guy in the end zone or there's a big pile. You know, obviously now number 27 is back in the ball game, and there's no question. But he's not in the ball game. This is the biggest surprise that I've seen from the Tennessee Oilers.
4th down and goal from inside the 1. McNair keeps it. And this time, they say he's in. Touchdown, Tennessee. With 1:03 left.
Touchdown, Oilers. And that play only took 3 seconds off the clock. You can see everyone crowding the line of scrimmage for the Baltimore Ravens, and McNair just submarines and gets the ball just barely over the line.
And on a 4th down play, McNair goes in for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. He has 50 yards rushing in the game. Extra point try by Al Del Greco. It's 21-18 right now. The kick is good. 21-19 with 1:03 left. Tennessee has no timeouts left, and an onside kick is in the offing.
And I could very easily, in the years to come, see Steve McNair passing for 3,000 yards and rushing for 1,000 yards.
For 1,000 yards.
Yeah, it's only, what, 65 yards a game or something like that. You get a lot of spare running backs who end up with 1,000 yards. Steve McNair, you know, he now has close to 600 yards for this season, and that hasn't been an emphasis in their ball game.
Really a tough guy. As you look at him on the bench, and he just wants that ball back one more time. Really a tough guy. Imagine in the 41-14 loss to the Bengals, a game that was decided by halftime. Actually decided almost at the start of the 2nd quarter. With about 5 minutes to go, they said, come on, why don't you come out of the game? He said, no, I'm staying in. I started it. I want to finish it. And he's just a good, tough leader for them. The Let's Go Ravens chant around Memorial Stadium. The onside kick is coming up. The Good Hands team is up, stretched along the 40-yard line. For the Ravens, there they are, Kinchin, Green.
They have all 11 guys up within 20 yards of the ball.
Del Greco. Loose ball. Still loose. Jeff Fisher over there on the Oilers sideline saying they have it. But no indication yet. Usually by now someone's pointing and saying that they have it. Now the Oilers are saying they've recovered it, and they have. With 1 minute to go. Terry Killens comes out of the pile with the football, James, and so it is Oiler ball.
And Killens gets to redeem himself, because remember the punt early in the ball game? Killens is the guy who the punt actually strikes. And Killens touches this ball before it has gone 10 yards, so the officials miss calling a penalty on that, and Killens is able to pull it out from everyone else around the bottom of that pile.
He gets the congratulations on the sideline, and he has given Steve McNair exactly what he wanted, the ball back.
You see the 40-yard line where all the Ravens are standing? Right there, Killens touches it, but maybe it's simultaneous touching, because the Raven player had come across that line and tried to touch it also.
And once they came out of the pile with the ball, Killens had it, and it was Tennessee ball. Injured Raven down on the field. It's a left leg. With 1 minute to go, Baltimore 21, Tennessee 19. The timeout situation, Tennessee, they have none left. Trying to get his team over the hump in what has been a battle right since the start of the game, and get them over 500. They are 7-7 now. And he comes out to check on the injured Baltimore player. Ted Marchibroda, who has been involved since the Ravens came to Baltimore in so many close games. Disappointed Scott O'Brien, the special teams coach, standing alongside, that the ball has gone over on the onside kick and been recovered by Tennessee. Now remember, coming up after this game on NBC, it's the final day of the EMC Skills Challenge. So you'll watch John Daly, Peter Jacobson, Chichi Rodriguez, and more as they show off their shot-making skills in a variety of situations. That's what's coming up next, the EMC Skills Challenge here on NBC.
Now, I figure they're going to drive for distance. You know, little, 90-yard chip shot to see who's closest to the pin. Maybe you can come out of the sand trap. Maybe putt, like you do at the old putting green. But, and here's Al Del Greco. He's one of the top golfers around, and this game may come down to whether or not they can get him close enough to attempt a field goal.
Could be a long one, too. The injured Raven player, now a stretcher coming out.
It appeared to be Nate Singleton. You hope that they're doing this for precautionary measures. You never like to see a guy carted off the field on a stretcher. You love it when a guy is able to get on his feet and walk off under his own power.
Well, they had his left leg positioned. And are now getting set to remove him from the playing field. Eddie George and the Oilers. Will Eddie George be back in the offensive set? He wasn't on that last drive as they came down the field. Rodney Thomas, number 20, who's talking with Steve McNair there, was the player that the Oilers used for his receiving ability. And George was a spectator on the Oilers sideline.
Well, if you are unable to get the ball out of bounds, you have essentially time to run 3 plays in the middle of the field. You throw a pass 15 yards, get up, either spike the ball or throw another play where you can get down. They need to get to about the 30-yard line to be able to kick a field goal. So from where they are, they need to gain 30 yards.
James, this has been a long delay now as they are carrying Nate Singleton off. Have they set up the whole drive? Are they able to go how many plays deep on this?
Well, because you can call so much of your offense from the line of scrimmage, and not only call it from the line of scrimmage, but be able to call plays on the run. You've completed a play 15 yards down the field. You communicate to your offensive line what the play is. You might say 86, 86. They can line up, get on the ball. Then you can yell out to the receivers what it is. And that way you don't waste all your time making sure everyone's set and getting at the line of scrimmage.
A minute to go. 2 points down. McNair's first pass is caught, but Wycheck spins and fights and gets out of bounds after picking up about 5 yards out to the 47-yard line. Donnie Brady was on coverage for Baltimore. 54 seconds left.
I don't think that the Ravens are going to give him the sideline, and at some point Steve McNair is going to have to test the middle of the field, and that's between the numbers. You're going to have to throw something 20, 25 yards right down the middle.
Derek Mason into Ravens territory. That's a first down at the 47-yard line. No timeouts left. Get right back up to the line of scrimmage. Now at 40 seconds as they set the chains. McNair, he is sacked. The ball comes loose, and it's recovered by the offensive lineman, Brad Hopkins. Back at the 50-yard line.
And you have the clock stop momentarily because the quarterback was sacked. Now, as soon as the ball is set and ready for play, they'll wind the clock up. You hear the fans reacting adversely, but that's the rule.
Now it starts, 24 seconds, and he throws one into the ground and stops it with 22 seconds left. No timeouts.
Yeah, and the one thing that Steve McNair could not do was to take a sack. You have time to throw the ball in the pocket. You have to pull the trigger immediately. Watch Peter Boulware come from the outside. He dances, he darts back inside, and he's there to help apply the pressure. He's only going to get half a sack on that one. Maybe Jones gets the whole thing. See Del Greco warming up on the sideline, waiting for his chance.
A little fouled up right now are the Oilers receivers as to who is going to line up where between Sanders and Mason.
Now, if they're going to try that, play where you throw it all the way down to the goal line, it's premature for that. With 22 seconds on the clock, you still have time to complete a 20-yard pass over the middle, run everyone up to the line of scrimmage, spike the ball, and still get Del Greco on for a field goal attempt.
22 seconds left. It's third down and 16.
We see fourth down on the marker, though.
Yeah, fourth down on the markers, but third down on the scoreboard. And he's saying it's only third down. Now, wait a minute. Let's count them off.
You had a sack.
And then he spiked one into the ground.
Then you spiked the ball.
But wait a minute. It should only be third down. Wycheck got the first down, then the sack, then he dumped one into the ground, and that would be third down, which is very, very important here as to what down it is, even though there are only 22 seconds left. Because if it's fourth down, they've got to get a first down. I saw this happen one time in a game between the Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, and they actually had to go get photographs, Polaroids of the plays to mark them off and make sure they had the right down.
It's not like baseball where the umpire has that little clicker where he's counting balls and strikes. There's a lot of confusion going on, and if you can imagine, everyone on the Ravens sideline is arguing for fourth down, where everyone on the Tennessee sideline is arguing for third down, and we have the correction. It is third down, and you see Marcia Brodau trying to guess a fourth down.
I think the call third down is correct. What an end to the Memorial Stadium days.
But going back in this drive, Steve McNair still committed the most grievous error in, I'll say, allowing himself to be sacked. A guy that mobile, you really have to understand the situation. You're much better off throwing the ball away than trying to hold it, waiting for something to happen.
Now they've come over, and Bob McElwee is talking, I'm sure, with the NFL communicator here, the officials communicator, as to what's going on down as far as the down situation is. They had fourth down up.
With all this time that they're spending trying to figure out what down it is, if I were the Oilers, I would have changed my offensive set. You've lined up the three wide receivers to the left side. You've given the Ravens players ample opportunity to talk about how they want to defend it. You've had time to huddle up, to talk to Les Steckel upstairs, to come up with something different. You've seen how they're aligning. It's similar to what NBA teams do when they call a timeout in the last couple of seconds. They want to see how they're going to defend the inbound pass. It's the same way in this situation. You have to come up with something a little more creative.
On this drive, here's the way we've charted it, James. On this drive, Wycheck caught a 6-yard pass. He got out of bounds. Mason caught a 9-yard pass, got a first down.
First down.
There was a sack then that they lost 6 yards on, and then they came up to the line of scrimmage, and McNair threw one into the ground, stopping the clock with 22 seconds left. That would make it third down. And that's where we are.
And I don't know why they just don't tap into our telecast and figure out what down it is.
I've never figured that out through the many years. It is official, third down.
And I stated it once, you need to come up with something different than what you've shown while you've been standing around for the last 3.5 minutes waiting for whether or not you're going to find out if it's third down or fourth down. Yeah, they trot the three wide receivers out to that one side.
They are snapping from their own 47-yard line. On 3rd and 16, McNair. He's got his man. It's Mason. He steps out at the Raven 39-yard line with 16 seconds remaining in the game. But they are still short of a first down.
And you would have to line Del Greco up for a 56, 57-yard field goal attempt if you were to go for it on 4th down here.
And they are going for it on 4th down. 4th down and a little bit more than 2. So make it 4th and 3. 16 seconds left.
You have time to throw the ball over the middle, to get on the ball, and to spike it.
Incomplete to Wycheck. And the ball goes back over to the Ravens.
Incredible that they would try and throw the ball to the outside. You have the whole middle of the field to work with. That's the most vulnerable area of any defense. This huge area in the middle of the field is where you would like to work. The Oilers decide to go outside, and you see the defenders converging on Wycheck.
Nice play by Williams out there to come up with that play. 12 seconds remaining. Memorial Stadium had so many Colts great victories.
And I think you send in Johnny Unitas here to take the knee.
So many great Colts victories, but it will close its doors with a Ravens victory. And it is over. The Ravens have won it here this afternoon as they defeat the Tennessee Oilers 21-19. Now make sure you stay tuned for the final day of the EMC Skills Challenge as John Daly, Peter Jacobson, and Chichi Rodriguez will show off all their great shot-making skills in a variety of situations. The EMC Skills Challenge is coming up next here on NBC. The Baltimore Ravens have closed out Memorial Stadium's history for NFL football with a win over the Tennessee Oilers 21-19 as they hang on in the closing seconds to win it and up their record to 6-8-1. For James Lofton, I'm Jim Donovan. So long from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. You've been watching the NFL on NBC.